Economic Development Advisory Board for the City of Daytona Beach. Here called to order. Please call the roll.
Okay. Larry McDermott.
Here. mid drink of coffee.
Chet Davis.
Here.
Tom Blond.
Tom apologized. He told me yesterday he would not be able to make it because of some business commitments. Sorry, I should have told you.
It's Tom hadn't been here for.
He hasn't been here for a while. Either.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a minute.
Phil Ellinger.
Present.
Bishop Derek Triplett.
Okay.
Carol Killian.
Here. Yeah, I mean.
Excuse me, I was looking at it.
Okay.
All right, now we're all done. Approval of minutes for April 16th. I read through them. They were okay.
I just had one little thing. The Volusia Volunteers in Medicine is VVIM. Is what we've been using, so that's pretty minor, but I just thought I'd tell you.
Oh, VVIM. Okay. Okay.
See, I do read them.
Yes.
All right. Then would you like to make a motion to approve them as corrected?
I so moved.
I will second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed? Okay. Our reports from Mr. Earhart. How are you this morning, sir?
I'm fine. How are you, Mr. Chair?
Doing great.
Good morning to the members of the advisory board. Rob Earhart with the Volusia County Economic Development Division. You're probably aware, but just to be sure, Daytona State College continues their leadership on a workforce summit. Mary Bruno has issued an executive summary of that effort about a month ago, so if you've not seen that, I've got a copy I can provide to Emery. He can distribute to you. Some good work being done there. Separately, but on a parallel path, you may be familiar with the Volusia County Schools Career Connection Cadre. So they have a committee that is also working to identify opportunities, particularly for the career and technical education assets that exist within the Volusia County school system and how to make those a part of the overall Workforce Summit process. Congratulations to the DeLand Regional Chamber of Commerce, Nancy and her team, and the city for the recent announcement by Masco Administrative Services. I may have been the only one, but on pins and needles for a few weeks or months there. So that's a great announcement. It's a division of
Did you say DeLand?
He meant Daytona.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm just making sure we're listening. For the record, let me correct that. That's the Daytona Regional Chamber.
There you go.
Obviously, that's going to be an awesome facility that they're going to put on Williamson Boulevard. Site preparation, we all see, continues at the intersection of, or just off the interstate with Dunn Avenue for the large distribution center. If you're not familiar with the CEO Exchange, it's a roundtable venue that the Small Business Development Center at Daytona State College facilitates as part of the Grow FL program. And Ned Harper has had a first group of 14 CEOs and general managers. That's gone very well for almost a year, so we're discussing a second group. This would be stage 2 companies that have 10 to 99 employees, at least $1 million in revenue, that are really focused on growth opportunities. So if you've got some companies that you would like to be considered in that, please give me the names. Be happy to get them in the mix. Just some upcoming events. The VMA is hosting a CEO Leadership Speaker Series August 7th at 6 p.m. There's a quarterly meeting that we are hosting in the Volusia Room at the airport on Friday, August 8th at 7:45. Labor statistics are due out this Friday at 10 a.m., so we'll be interested to see what that looks like for the county in general and the city specifically. VMA is hosting another speaker. Your very own Steve Ritter from Embry-Riddle is going to tie his success as a athletic director and a basketball coach to the world of business. That's August 12th at 4 p.m. Apologize to Nancy if I stole your thunder on that one. And Incubator Advisory Board, you may not be aware, the Business Incubator at the airport has an advisory board. It's staffed by the volunteers, and so that's going to be meeting on August 18th at 1:30 p.m. you're welcome to attend, and certainly as those volunteers' tenure begins to expire, if you're interested, we'd love to have you consider being a part of that. And finally, just giving you notice that I'll be absent at the next Economic Development Advisory Board meeting. Mr. Pedro Leon will be here in my stead. So thank you.
Hope you're gonna have fun.
I'm taking my mom to her doctor down in Brevard County.
You have an excused absence.
Pedro?
The incubator advisory board, what, the 18th at what time?
That is the 18th at 1:30.
Thank you.
That'll be at the incubator, business
July
incubator.
18th,
August 18th.
August 18th, okay.
Midway through July already.
I know.
Maybe I need to wake up over again and start over.
No, that's
Get my
fine.
dates and names correct here.
Your customers.
Just a couple questions. One, on the large tract of land for the distribution, is that thing been sold yet? I don't think that's closed yet, has it?
I would defer that question to John Albright at Consolidated Tomoka.
Okay, but as far as you know,
Smart.
yeah.
As far as I know, John Albright's in the best position to answer that question.
Okay. Okay, I just just keep wondering why, they keep churning. They must have put 1,000 yards of dirt in there, or 1,000 truckloads of dirt.
If you've not been there, I would encourage you to go out to Dunn Avenue and just stop in your car, even get out and just stand there and try to drink in what does a 700,000 square foot distribution center really look like. It is an awesome site.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
You can see it from 95.
Oh, I know.
Quiet. Has anybody ever noticed that? When you do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
These events, are they for us to attend, or are they private events?
As far as I know, they're all available for public participation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Rob, any other questions? Okay, Keith Norton. Oh,
He's been on board.
Keith did not ask me to speak, but just to let you know, he and his director of recruitment, Denise Mata, at the Farnborough Air Show. Just a little background, Enterprise Florida has a Florida pavilion at this show to really accentuate the aviation assets of the state. And they had invited the JAX USA folks. The folks from the Tampa area were planning to be there. I believe Miami-Dade was going to be there. And Keith received a personal outreach from Grace Swope, the president and CEO, saying Volusia County needs to be represented. So working in concert with the aviation assets throughout the county and Embry-Riddle, Keith has been preparing for about 5 or 6 weeks for this. So he is representing Volusia County in a booth space that's under the Florida Pavilion, but everything about his messaging is tied to and coordinated with Embry-Riddle's participation at the same event in a separate chalet.
okay, so Embry-Riddle is there.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
They got, Melbourne got a lot of publicity over, they sent about 5 companies over. Of course, they've got Embraer and all the rest of it.
Do this.
Sorry. I
Yes.
just mentioned.
So we're maybe playing a little catch up to Melbourne, but we're number 2 and we try harder. So
Yeah, but they don't have Embry-Riddle.
They don't have the commercial airline service we do.
amen. Absolutely.
And they may be losing all their commercial airline service, is the scuttlebutt, by the way.
And if you look at the growth in the airport here as compared to there,
I'd rather have.
Phil's point is very well taken.
Okay. Thank you for doing your Keith Norton invitation. I appreciate that. Nancy Kiefer from the Daytona Beach Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. Just a couple of pieces of old business just to touch on. Rob mentioned the Masco announcement, and I just want to thank Emery and the city and Rob and all of the partners that came together to make that announcement happen. It really was a true collaboration of city, county, state, private sector, pulling together. And I think that that's just a great example of how it can work. And everybody was tremendous. And I know that the administrators and the stakeholders at Masco are incredibly pleased. We're anxious to see them start moving along. The process was long, but they're committed, and we're excited that we've been able to retain those very, very important jobs. And to, obviously get a new world-class headquarters built for them too, right in Daytona Beach. So thank you, for everybody's partnership on that. The other piece of old business is the Alliance of Chambers, which are all the chambers in Volusia County that actually have staff and bricks and mortar, had a mega mixer out at the airport that was hugely successful. Hugely. The airport staff, everybody was so incredible to work with. But most important is the business people there were telling me the business that they got. So it's the first time where they've really seen people actually trying to conduct business with them on the floor at a show like that. So again, another great collaborative effort from all over the county. We've just booked the date for next year, June 25th, at the airport. We did get confirmation from them. So Rob, I'm preempting, they're probably talking to you about that. The biggest issue was we ran out of parking.
Oh,
Isn't that a great issue to have? So I said I will deal with the run out of parking issue rather than nobody came issue. So the Alliance and I talked, the only good news would be is if the space isn't available because new airlines are taking over. So we'll be flexible, but just kudos to everybody involved in it. Sold out 2 weeks in advance for vendor space. We did need more space. We ran out, but there's a beauty in showcasing the airport, and just a great event. So wanted to give an update on that. A couple of new things that are coming up. We do have a program on July 31st called Connecting the Dots. This is a program that's really intended to showcase the importance of technology in the classroom and how it all links to workforce development and economic development. We've got a great panel of speakers coming in to talk. It'll be at Embry-Riddle. And again, this is just a collaboration through the Volusia Tech Council, which the Chamber has been staffing for quite a while now. And again, a lot of great people working together. We had a notice in the paper this past weekend on the intercity trip to Greenville. We probably have 3 spots left on that. Very, very happy to announce that we have representation from the city, from the county. Keith is going from Team Volusia, private sector, a couple of elected officials. So it's a real good mix of people. And the goal that we have is obviously to go and learn how Greenville took a downtown area with a river running through it and made it a vibrant community for residents and businesses to grow and succeed there. And the commitment we have is we're going to own something when we come back from there. So it's not just going and seeing another place and what they've done, but we're going to really work very hard to own something and bring it back and say, okay, who's going to be in charge and who's going to take this, and how are we going to lead that forward. Not only, do we want to learn from the success, they're getting all these awards about best place to work and vibrant cities and transformational cities, but we want to learn the mistakes because, obviously sometimes learning that can shortchange and shortcut, mistakes that we might make here. The one nice caveat that was, we fell into is Chris Chalice is a part-time resident, in Greenville and helping, do a lot of development there. So he's going to actually help guide some of the conversation because he knows Daytona Beach. So we're excited about that coming up. And the only other thing I wanted to bring up, and I know it's been talked about here, I think, Larry, you brought it up a few months back, was the Daytona Beach Park directory sign. Mm-hmm. We have received a couple of complaints on that, the look of that sign, the fact that most of the businesses aren't there, and I promised them I would bring it forward and just say, is it on the radar screen at all, to update that or clean that up?
Right. I just mentioned that was one of the areas that we asked Boyette Strategic Advisors to take a look at. They are going to come back with some recommendations regarding that area. We'll share that with the board.
I understand, and I don't know if this is true or not, that whole retail area on the east side of that street may change and may help provide some. I think what it suffers is like a really good wide entrance, and you can't take Checkers out and the shopping center out, so it's got to come from the east side. And I understand there may be some changes coming in that where some of those leases are coming due and they may be purchased, and a little bit different look. I don't know if that's if anybody else has heard anything like that or whatever, but
I represent the go-kart track owners and Chris Chalice's companies looking at that 5 acres there. So problem is moving 7-Eleven off the corner more than anything else.
I heard that like the men's store was
Men's
going to, and
stores.
then maybe 7-Eleven would do a store a little bit farther east or something.
Few
like
proposals, but
Yeah.
they don't like to move fuel tanks. It's got problems.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I know fuel tanks are hard, but I didn't know if that was even being discussed. Somebody had told me, and I just thought, okay, it sounded. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, one of the things I talked to Dave Perriman about a couple months ago. Dave used to own business there, and the industrial park, was a leader in the area, and he would be willing to try to get together with some of us to discuss some. There used to be a owners association on Fentress, and somehow something happened with that. I don't know. And there used to be a pot of money in there to take care of some of those things. That's what's going to have to probably happen. I don't think the city has the money to do it, and it's probably going to have to come with the business owners. So we could meet with Mr. Perriman. Okay. Vision Foundation. Talk to you. Is there anything going on with the Volusia Volunteers in Medicine
The Volunteers
project?
in Medicine thing is really starting to move along fairly quickly. We've got a verbal agreement with the Stuart Marchman Act facility out here just off of Dunn Avenue. And we've met with the city and the folks, the facility people at Stuart Marchman are meeting with the city folks almost as we speak, actually. I just talked to them yesterday. And they'll be putting together a site plan and with the eventual going to the planning board to get approval and then to the city commission. So everything is actually moving along fairly quickly.
Well, that would be a very good location because and again, this is primary services for the working uninsured.
Health services, yeah.
Yeah. So that that person who comes in would have to have an appointment, would be, and I'm not sure what they do a health history and that type of thing on the person, and have the person would have an examination, all on appointment basis. So it's not like a clinic where you just walk in and, hey, I got this problem. It's not going to eliminate total of that. But the good thing about it is, in that location, is if the primary physician says, well, I don't like the looks of this cough, you need to go over and get an x-ray at such and such facility. That facility is probably within blocks. And that will be part of the volunteer medicine system, where we'll have those kind of arrangements set up so that that the volunteers in medicine can put together an affordable system to help those who do not have insurance but are working and living in the area. Okay, they have to have both of those.
In Volusia County, they have to have the list of criteria. We've mentioned this before, but we're trying to let the general public know that this is available, and there is a list of criteria that you have to meet in order to do it. And the Halifax Hospital, Florida Hospital, all these folks are really excited about being partners with us because that will relieve some of the emergency room aspects at both hospitals, and there's just a long list of good things that can happen, and we're just really excited about it finally starting to come to fruition because the difficulty was finding a facility.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we looked at probably dozens of facilities.
So anyway,
well, thank you very much.
More next time.
Well, thank you for your leadership in that, Carol. We appreciate that a lot. I think we already talked about. Yeah. No, I mean, there's so many companies in this town that support, either support the economic development effort or part of it, and a lot of the employees just don't have health insurance. Either the company furnishes it to them at cost, and they decide not to take it, or the company doesn't furnish the insurance. So one of the two different situations, and so this is what that facility is for. On the Fenchurch Business Park, Tim and I will try to get with Mr. Perriman about the sign issue. I think that'll be our next issue. Delmar Designs, are we going to, do you want to table that?
We will table it. I will just give you a little update. They've been in business for 11 years in Volusia County area, and they're considering moving their business to Daytona Beach, to the Bill France area.
Where is that address? I don't know where that is. Holland's back?
Holstenbeck. It's over by the health department.
That's the health department,
okay.
yes.
It's that street, Sears used to have a little
yeah.
place right there. It's, you go up Bill France.
Raymond was on it, way down at the end of the street.
And what's the name of that company that's back there? I can't think of the name.
Crane Cams?
Crane's back
Crane
there.
took over the Rams
Yeah,
building,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
Right.
know where you're talking about now. I just didn't, the street name didn't pop up in my
It's
head.
the old Daytona MIG building.
Yeah.
It's what?
Daytona MIG
12
welders.
times back.
Oh, okay. I know
So,
what it is.
so it's not going to create a bunch of jobs. It is very little capital investment, as you might see in the application. So the amount of incentive over the 4-year period that our guidelines call for is not huge. We may need to have subsequent conversation with them to see where they are. So we'll bring that one back.
They're purchasing the building?
I'm not sure.
It says something here in C. We will be purchasing, and purchasing with
Well,
capital.
that's the
Do you
proposal.
know anything about that, Tim?
It's not for sale, it's for lease, but that doesn't mean
Okay.
Also noticed, Emory, it says in here that how they're going to get jobs, and they're going to have the Emory-Riddle Career Fair.
Well, I think that's
I
appropriate.
think you have your own name over there.
Anyway, we'll clean all that stuff up
Who was
and
that
bring them
building
back.
in, Tim, you know?
I think all the
Chuckle.
guy that owned Daytona MIG.
You know, I get credit for that university a lot, you know.
It says in here in the letter, after acquiring the property, the projected cost of building improvements or renovations is $480,000. So it looks like that is what they're planning on doing, so. Okay.
Okay.
I just figured our chief real estate guru would know.
It's been on the market for a long time.
Yeah, as a lease, but not as a purchase. Okay. All right, well, that, we'll table that. Do we need a vote to table that, or just table it? Okay. Enterprise Zone Development Agency duties.
This came up, Betty Goodman has been after me to make some changes to our boards. Our Enterprise Zone Development Agency board now has several vacancies on it, and we're wondering if we might shift those duties, the duties of that board, to this board. There's very little activity, mostly inquiries regarding what the sales tax program is. We do the day-to-day. The inquiries have to do with whether the property is in or out of the zone, and then a lot of businesses don't think that the paperwork is worth the incentive. So we would give you a report every now and then regarding any activity. Pretty much that's it.
Well, any of these tax abatement exemptions, you have a slot in there for being in a brownfield or an enterprise zone, right?
Well,
Right. They check off which ones they're in, yes.
okay, the golf course is part of the enterprise zone, so would we be getting reports on that?
No, it's part of the, no, it's not even the brownfield.
No,
The
it's
LPGA,
enterprise.
oh, you mean the municipal?
The municipal. golf
Okay,
course.
okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry. Get them all mixed up.
Okay,
No,
when I look at you, I think LPGA, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm chairman of the golf board, so I'm a
Okay.
little interested in what that's going to mean I mean, it's okay, I would like to have those reports, actually.
It is actually not in the EZ. I will double check that, but I think the EZ stops at Shady Place. It does go all the way to the river, but stops at Shady Place, and I believe the other boundary, the northern boundary, is Brentwood, and it kind of meanders.
Oh, okay.
The other is Nova Road.
Okay,
So-
I'll get with you later on that.
Sure.
one. Yeah, because I'm maybe a little confused, sorry.
So what you were thinking about is to replace that board and put maybe someone here on this board to handle that area,
No.
or
We would handle
report
it
to
as
this area, or
staff.
what?
No, we would handle it as staff. We would handle it the day-to-day. But we have to have that board in order to have an enterprise zone in Daytona Beach. So it's required, we have to have some way of handling those duties. It's kind of like what you do with the Brownfield Advisory Committee. Every now and then, as appropriate, when there's some activity, we'll just give you an update. How many inquiries, what if any applications have been received and transmitted to the state.
Does the board exist right now?
Board would be this board.
It does exist
that's what
in
I'm saying.
name, it
Okay.
is not functioning.
It's not really a merger, but it is in a way.
Or filled?
It is not filled.
Makes sense, actually.
That's
So
correct.
we'll just take on some of the
Just the duties.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, next steps would be to take this to the manager. Ultimately, he would decide to take it to the commission. I would present it to the commission, and would change the description regarding this board.
All right, I think we need to have a motion about that,
Yes.
just to make sure that Emory has the full authority to do that from this. So I'll entertain a motion to bring the Enterprise Zone Development Agency duties to this advisory board.
I will so move.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
One quick thing, that last statement you just said, Emery, redevising the function of this board.
Yeah.
This board won't, what we're presently doing won't morph into something else. This is simply just an addition.
Correct.
Yeah,
We would adjourn our meeting, reconvene, this is like we usually have.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
have all those hats on the.
Right.
Yeah, we just need a place, if the state asks, do we have a board? We simply need a
Yes.
place where those duties are handled.
Okay.
I think it makes sense to consolidate
Yeah.
some of this.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Any old business? I saw Steve in here from UCP, I guess. So.
You had a phone call.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything that we need to update on the brownfield?
No, at this point, Rob may chime in later, but what happened last year, I want to say about May 17th, the governor signed, it was proposed by one of the members of our legislature. The governor then signed it, I want to say May 17th, it went into effect. It changed the brownfield program from an economic development tool to a hazardous mitigation tool. And unless the property has hazardous material on it, or it is adjacent to a property that has hazardous material on it, and they sign a BSR, Brownfield Site Rehabilitation Agreement, we have no program. We have no economic development program. So we can't offer them the additional stuff for growing jobs on that site. So in effect, it kind of took the teeth out of what we were using it for.
And a lot of other communities were using it.
Absolutely,
Yeah. Wonderful.
absolutely. So we're where we have it now, we have it, but prospect of adding more is slim.
Okay.
Wow.
Rob, any comment on that?
Well, I was just reading through our minutes from the last time. 'cause
It was
we
a
had,
great program, but they
yeah, the Emerald
pulled teeth, so-
has applied for it.
There is hazardous material out in that area.
They don't have a problem.
No.
Yeah, but
Between the old city landfill and the waste site over there. And
Yeah.
And part
So-
of that is that there's a whole plume under there that's migrating toward the research park.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah, down underneath. It's uncleanable.
Similarly, the last brownfield site rehabilitation agreement that we heard from Gunstro Law, Kelly Scott, I believe.
Yeah, Kelly Scott, that's who.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. It was Mike Stopsteller. I remember some months ago he came before us and submitted 2, and there's supposed to be a third, but it hasn't transpired yet. There is contamination on that side. So where there's contamination, no problem. If there's no contamination or contiguous contamination, there's a problem.
Well, just get somebody to dump something.
Wow.
That was the problem. That's what created all these issues. Really, nobody thought about just dumping stuff out the back door for so many years. I mean, there were real horror stories when I was with FDOT. Some of the things we found that nobody knew were there.
Sure.
People just covered up underground
Yeah,
tanks.
you might also remember that we had a guy here, I forget his name, True Science, and there was supposed to be some hazardous material on that property. He had some proof, but he never completed a brownfield site rehabilitation agreement with the state. Therefore,
Stuck.
What
Oh, good. I'm sorry.
What about that lot on the corner of Beach and M&B, the old car lot? Any further progress on that?
Beach and the
Um,
Lloyd.
Yes.
I believe one of the agreements that Mike Stopsteller talked about included one or two, a couple of those sites.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which ones.
Are they going to be cleaned up or?
Yes, that's the plan. When they start, we should have Mike come back in here and give us an update on what's happening with it.
At the very least, it should be some of the weeds taken out.
Well, we can put some weed killer on it. That'd help. That'd be more chemicals.
More chemicals.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. I know. At least, if you have weeds growing, it's not so bad. Okay.
It's not a brand.
Yeah. Any old business? Any new business?
I would just like to add that they closed on this building the day after they submitted this application.
Did they?
Del Mar Design.
Okay.
They closed on the 14th. Apparently it was an off-market transaction.
Oh. Okay.
We want to talk about the
On Folsom Drive.
airport thing for next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like me to bring that
Yes.
new business?
Yes.
I have sort of, I wrote you an email and Emery and,
Right.
and found out about, to invite, and there he and his staff is available, Rick Carl, who's the director of the airport, and his staff to advise us and talk a little bit about the airspace restrictions around Daytona Beach International Airport, what violations of those airspace things result in or could result in, and pretty much describe how the whole thing works and what's going on and some of the issues that they've had. Going back as far as the tower on the new Halifax Hospital, the Belvedere. I finally remembered it's a Plymouth. I never remembered the name. Finally, I made an association. A lot of people didn't realize when they first planned to do that, that was intruding into the approach, in one of the approaches to the airport by 40 feet. And they finally resolved it. They changed the design, and the FAA approved an incursion of 16 feet. So that is at north-south runway. They had to change the approach level. And when they have to change the approach level because the building's too tall, it sticks up into this imaginary plane, the airlines then make a decision as to, if they change it and they say, well, you can't go down to 300 feet, you have to go to 400 feet. That changes what the airlines establish as their own rules for flying in and out of airports. So without realizing it, sometimes somebody could do something thinking they're helping the community, and the reality is they chase the airlines away. The Hard Rock had to lower their building height by 25 feet. 25 feet, 2 stories. They took off the top of that building because they were sticking up into the approach into the airport. And it turns out Proto just makes it. It was only 1 foot in the FAA weight. Forget it. The new grandstand at the Speedway, they didn't change it, but it turns out the approach, that grandstand sticks up into one of the approaches in the airport. It turns out that it's an approach primarily used by general aviation, not the airlines. And so the FAA granted a waiver. Part and parcel of that they'll talk about was a new radar site down in Shiloh, which was a NASA site, and that has now been, because the radar site for Daytona Beach International Airport is out off of US 92, halfway to DeLand. Between the trees growing up and the grandstands, at one point the radar could only see down to 900 feet. So anything below 900 feet was no longer on radar, which was getting to be kind of antsy. Some people were getting very nervous about that. There's now been a coordination between the NASA site in Shiloh and the Orlando radar and our radar, that they're now all interlinked by computer, which wasn't possible to do before. So that's resolved all these height issues. I thought it was important because as we talk and we think, isn't it wonderful about the development of new high-rises on the beach, let's be cognizant, and the city staff, by the way, is very much into this, and that's not a problem. But I thought it might be fun to invite them to educate us in terms of when we see people, when we see things out there, we are the advisory board, and people say, well, I want to build a 80-story building, and we go, no, somebody has to say no.
Yeah.
And why? Well, okay, go a mile south and you can, but not right there. The last thing we need is to chase our airlines away.
Agreed.
Which are going to provide the people in order to fill the buildings.
Agreed.
So in any event, Emory said, subject to your approval, that we would invite the Rick Carl and the airport staff next month, August 20th.
Yes.
And they would be prepared to come and make a presentation to us about what's going on, what the airspace restrictions are, how it works. And there's also some proposed new regulations by the FAA. There was a little thing in the paper a couple weeks ago on a Sunday, but it wasn't a local article. But now the FAA is talking about creating new lower ceilings for single engine. If an airliner, they're all 2-engine airliners now, most of them are, if they lose an engine, then they have to lower the building height. And that would knock off, just so you know, if that was in effect today, it would knock off Hard Rock by another 166 feet. So that's proposed. So these are things that we should, as a community, I think, be subject to. So
I agree.
It's okay with you, Emory and I can work on inviting, make sure.
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 Okay.
Great. We need to be advised, and because you're on this board, people will ask you questions. And, quite frankly, I didn't know all of the ins and outs of this and don't know them. But, I welcome any opportunity to become more informed.
Absolutely.
Some of the developers, I remember way back when, there was a meeting with the developer who was thinking about down there, and someone says, you need an airspace consultant. And they go, what? Why?
Yes.
Because there's this imaginary floor there that's.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. I have one other piece of new business that we talked about, our January meeting, our annual meeting.
Right.
We was so successful this last January with the chamber. So I want to get that on Nancy's radar again and our radar. And
You've been doing eggs and issues at a different time. It used to be on Friday, now it's on.
The only time that the only time it moves off Friday is during the Leadership Daytona program, because they meet every Friday. So it's probably 3 or 4 months where it moves to a Tuesday. But we'll have the schedule all in advance with dates, so.
yeah, well, if you'll just put that on your, because we'd like to try that again. It was very successful. And of course, at the place, the LPGA gave us a nice venue.
Yeah, the tentative date would be January 16th, 2015.
Just one last comment, Mr. Chair. I see the Intercoastal Bank building going up on LPGA.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. What's your when are you going to be able to move in there? When do you expect completion?
Completion date will probably be before the end of the year, opening at the beginning of the year. Yeah,
Wonderful.
so.
You got a big suite office in there?
Yeah, mine's a broom closet. Basically.
But he has his own outside entrance.
I was going to say.
That's right. I do have mine on its
shower.
outside entrance. Yeah, right off from Vince Carter's. That way, when I go to Vince Carter's, I am right over my office.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Got to see
it's
it.
been yeah, and they've been very helpful. They provided some easements and such that they didn't have to do in order to help us get in. I know they're cutting the street in now. The entrance or the entrance is not an exit. Exit's going to have to be around the building. Entrance only on LPGA. You know how these traffic things go.
Yeah.
You know they don't want you to exit on the same way. So
Sure.
anyway, so that it'll be. I expect to be in here sometime at the end of the year.
Okay. Are we waiting on
Nothing.
Steve to come
Nothing.
back?
When-
Public
no.
comment.
No. Yeah, I think the public comment is left, and so if no other business, we're stand adjourned.
Thank you so much.